This podcast is proud to be part of the Talksport Fan Network. Talksport. Powered by fans.
Time for a winner. Is that it? Josh Witness for Wednesday week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday week. I'm hosting today. Turkish Delight is got prior endeavours at the moment. Engaged with something else. He's doing his movie podcast. On tonight's show, we're going to talk about pre-season. We're going to try and cover Spain and Doncaster. What we think about it. Does it mean anything? No, it doesn't. We've made some signings. Finally, people can actually calm down. We've actually made some signings. We're going to talk about who would we sign. What position would we sign next? What's the next priority position? We've got more embarrassment for the club with an Eyup. Turns out it's fucked up with our stupid sponsor once again. We've got discontent on the hashtag. We want to talk about the meltdown on Twitter, which is just like one extreme to the other all the time at the moment. We might talk about Chansiri selling up, but that's died a death already on Twitter, so well done with your protest, lads. Why do we keep getting it wrong with youth players? What's all that about? We haven't had a decent youth player for about, well, we've got Liam Palmer and Cameron Dawson, but we've not had anyone decent since, Derek Geary?
Richie Humphries.
And we probably stole him from somewhere. So it's like, remember the last time we had a Sheffield lad who went beyond the Championship? And then we'll give a little tribute to Trevor and Chris Williams, who sadly passed on the same day this week, which is mega shit. So joining me tonight, I've got the civil servant, that is Jon. Hi, Jon.
Hey guys, nice to see you all again.
I've got who some people call the kindest person who's ever podcasted in Hollie.
Yo.
and I've got a very drunk Steve who's gonna rant and rave.
I'm not very drunk. I thought that intro, the kindest person ever podcaster, was going to be me.
Oh, was it? You're the angriest person ever podcasted this way.
Today.
Right, we'll dive straight in. So this is like a more open forum podcast. It won't be as structural as Fudge. Pre-season, Jon, we'll start with you. Do you care? Have you watched the games and do you think it matters? What's your thoughts?
I really don't get up for pre-season at all. I'm all I want is for the players to build the fitness and stay clear of injuries. So I don't tend to focus on them much. I know they've been putting them on YouTube, so I've had a little dip in and out here and there, but by and large, I don't tend to get too focused on pre-season games. It's just a fitness exercise to me, and just keep fingers crossed, particularly how we are as a club in injuries, that we come through them unscathed. But obviously they had a nice camp in Murcia, didn't they, in Spain? Seemed like they were doing double training sessions. So obviously he's going to keep them. The fitness is going to be a big priority. There's going to be a lot of that, and it looked like they were all having a nice time out there and working hard and bonding, and it seemed well on the face of things. And like I said, I'm going to get too het up on results, win, lose or draw. It doesn't really matter. I remember with Alfreton spanked us 14-0 or something one year or something like that. So, don't read too much into results. Just bonding, getting back together, getting your fitness up and staying injury free, where is the main thing for me. And and obviously some signings which we can come on to later. So, but yeah.
Steve, did you watch any of the games?
The
Spanish ones more than anything.
The Spanish ones. I watched the Murcia game. the Friday morning game I was working, so I didn't see much of that, thankfully. It's difficult. It's a strange situation because you can't put too much stock into what's going on, but at the same time you can't put too much stock into what's going on because there's nothing going on, if that makes sense. So you can't take it with a pinch of salt necessarily, because we've got a threadbare squad, and that's a problem. And we've taken lads out there, and let's be right, bottom line is, if everything was fully functioning and where it needed to be with the club, we wouldn't have that squad playing games out there that are playing the games that and getting the minutes that they have, which is a little bit of a worry. But the flip side of that is it's an opportunity for the lads that have gone out, the young lads that have gone out to stake a claim and get some minutes and sort of see if they can force themselves in. And one of the things that we talk about all the time is giving our youth squad an opportunity to break through. The optimistic side of me is, right, circumstances being what they are, we get out to Spain and we need to put a fullback in, we need to put a midfielder in, we need to get this player in there and there and there. Give them a chance to go and see what's going on. I didn't think I was very whelmed by what I'd seen. I wasn't overly concerned because of the circumstances that were around it, but at the same time, if I'm honest, it didn't fill me with a great deal of optimism, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the guy who played against York, like the youngster who like really promising, I can't pronounce his name whatsoever.
Monaqueli.
Yeah, that guy. Was he in Spain? I don't think I saw his name in Spain.
I don't know. Well, this is the thing, and things cross over a little bit because you have the whole Joey Pooty of it all that we're probably going to discuss at some point. And the party line was he wasn't there because of administrative issues and
issues of documentation.
Yeah, but we can get a guy that we released over there in Ben Hennigan, and he can go and play with things, and there's no problem there. And people can go on holidays and this, that, and the other, and all sorts. And people will shoot me down and say that there's an issue, and we know what the issues are with Joey Putin. It's not really a secret anymore. On Aqualia, I don't know. I didn't see. I can't remember being part of things. He was good, to be fair. Like I said, I went to York, seeing bits of Chesterfield. The young lads that have been around it were okay, but at this stage, being as late as we started and being where we are, you want to be a bit further on than things are at the moment, don't you?
Yeah. So before we go into signings, Hollie, have you watched any pre-season matches?
No, well, I don't think you can read too much into the Spanish ones because it was like 40 degrees. Who wants to be running around? Didn't he get him training on the same day as the matches as well?
Yeah.
Like in that heat. So
and then people are moaning about him being crap and not being intense enough and stuff. It's like, come on, pal.
And I think also the law is that if you have a really good pre-season, everyone gets excited, you're going to win the league.
Well, we won one pre-season game last season. We won one pre-season game last season.
There you go.
And we did all right this season. And under Carlos, I think we lost 4-2 to Scunthorpe, and the meltdown after we lost that game against Scunny was insane. And then all the piss take from United fans and Rotherham fans and all sorts because we lost to Scunthorpe 4-2. And we made Wembley that season. And also,
do you know what? I don't necessarily worry about the results, and I'm not overly bothered about performances. It's minutes in the legs and so forth. But
minutes in the legs.
When you come out of it from the other side and you go, right, we've played this player and we've played that player. There's been a couple of occasions where I've looked at things and gone, it's not quite where I'd hope it'd be. You can't turn around and go, well, we've got this player coming in and we've got that player who's yet to come back, and we're going to make this sign. And I think that there seems to be a really big cloud over the club at the moment.
I feel like it's a bit of like a lot of players haven't played their natural position in the games this pre-season. So I don't know if he's having.
Because they're all over 30.
Yeah, I feel like he's having.
Is he
really
looking to go 4-3-3? Do we reckon so far early doors? Looks like there's going to be a change, doesn't there? So
we're definitely playing four at the back.
And then you've got a system change. He's going to expose players in it until we get a healthier quota, isn't it? So
well, I feel like he's been in the job 3 weeks now, I think. So I think people are going mental about signings, and we have signed players now. But I feel like he's had a really good look at his squad. He's even had a good look at the youth academy, and now he's decided what he needs, and what's not working in this formation and stuff. And then that's why we're starting to see signings now. And we are a month behind because Warner's manager left, and also because of the playoff final. So we are a month behind. But my counter argument to that is, and I said it on Twitter, was we signed Hooper, Forestieri, Pudel, and Barry Bannon after the season started. On the Final Whistle podcast of what I did last week, I think a lot of players won't be available until after the first League Cup game. You know, the Premier League squads just want to field a weak side, and then they go, right, you can go on loan somewhere now for a season. So I think people are right to panic a little bit, but because social media is the way it is these days, with being left extreme left or extreme right, I think people are just getting out of proportion. I used to get well involved in pre-season. I used to go to all games, and I can't ever remember an entertaining one where I've left and gone, God, we're going to batter a team next season, because that performance against Ilkeston was mint. It's oh my God. I'm going to add him in.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh! Who's this guy?
Oh, here he is.
I've just popped in to see what you're doing with my bloody football show. What's going on here?
Special guest from Jamaica. It's Dan Fun.
I only came on to listen, and you brought me on. I've got nothing prepared,
mate. What do you think? Either way.
All right, fair enough. What did I think about what?
It's our second special guest tonight. It's Molly.
Pre-season.
Oh God, it's
talk about Spain, Dan.
Well, Dan, you went, didn't you?
Talk about
Spain. So Spain was terrible, right? So we got there, and I went up for the night, right? So I got there, went up for the evening, got there about 2:00 in the afternoon, and you think, well, I'm in Spain, I'm getting straight on it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get boshed up, la bosh, and then we did. We found a bar, but the Pinatar Arena where it was in the back end of our end of nowhere, and so we got there an hour early, thinking there's a couple of bars around the ground. It's not a ground. It's literally just a big football pitch in the middle of bloody nowhere, and we sat down, and we were in the sun puddle side, and Christ, the heat was 39 degrees at 6:00 at night, and I was just sweating one out, and then they said we couldn't take beer there, so we poured our vodka lemonades into the water bottles and went, yeah, pal, it's just water, you know what I mean? And I got absolutely steaming shit-faced. The football was dire. Quite liked Pierce Charles. He was all right. He needs to fill out a bit, but I think they kept saying that about Joe Wildsmith for the last 10 years, haven't they?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
10 years, him.
Yeah, and then we'll sell him to Derby County. And then I don't remember a shot directly on goal, which is quite difficult. However, it's difficult not to get carried away about pre-season, purely because, it's you're not playing the full strength squad at any one moment on the pitch.
No.
So you kind of okay, I get it. Who's playing well and who's doing the rest of it. And then I got rate bored and bashed stickers all over the place, and then went into town, got boshed up. And I've never met so many expats from Benidorm, from Yorkshire, outside of Benidorm, all at one place. They were all there, and it'd be oh, have you come far, pal? And they go, no, I live out here, and they've got those leathery brown mahogany tans, like that woman in Benidorm, in that shop mobility cart, you know what I mean? And then I thought, right, they're playing homes at 4:00, and I thought, I've got a couple of hours in the sun here. It was too hot. Hollie, you'd have got a tan. And Honest, it was just too hot, and it was just couldn't do it. He was just mega hot. But I met some of those guys who were on that bus from Benidorm where they had a couple of tyres blow out, and they were like an hour late. And then they all got there and jammed up the bars. I was there for the unsightly scenes with that geezer in his Sheffield United shirt. That was that was just embarrassing, if I'm honest, on both parts.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was genuinely snarling, grown-ass men, people who are old enough to vote and sire a child twice-fold, like snarling, like genuine, like spittle around their mouth, snarling at some. Well, he was a good-looking fella, if I'm honest, like, you know what I mean. And then one bloke told on him, and he got moved back to the side that he was originally on. Honestly, it was painful. What were you doing? What's happening? I was still recording.
Yeah. We're about to talk about the signings because I've just said the point about I thought Cisco did a good 2 weeks looking at his squad. He's combined his youth academy with his what players he had left from his senior team. And we didn't lose anyone important, did we? Like, who did we lose that was important? Aidan Flint. Like, everyone else who went. Like,
I'd argue that in the cold light of day, I'd argue that.
Ellie Bashir, come on.
No, I'd argue that Stockdale.
Knowing
now what we knew, if we could have retained Stockdale for another year, I don't think that would have been a bad deal. If I'm honest with you, one or two things is going to happen. I've seen it in the media. Dawson. If Dawson's not going to be our first choice, he needs to go. So if we had Stockdale in as a backup, I think he would have been a very capable backup. Flitting between him and Charles would have been reasonable.
Yeah.
As it stands at the minute, and the noises coming out from Chisco seem to be that, you know, you're reading between the lines. If we're struggling a little bit, it might be that Charles is going in as our backup. And he's turned 18 this week, hasn't he? If he's an 18-year-old goalkeeper going and sitting on our bench, but if something happens to one,
yeah, but you have that double jeopardy rule, don't you, with the goalkeepers? If you lose a keeper, you can sign one, can't you?
Which is great, but we lose a goalkeeper on Thursday. We've got a game Saturday. What are we doing? We're scratching about. I've got a mate who plays for Redford. He's great, and no disrespect, I don't want him on bench on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumours they're going in for that backman. I've seen that from a reliable source. Watford goalkeeper.
But if you look at the Watford press, he's another one. They're talking about, he's a good player. We want to keep him for a year, and they've gone into negotiations. And the only thing is, all this business is coming about because of frigging at Chansiri. So Chansiri likes him, and then all of a sudden we're being linked with a guy who's played 45 games last year.
It's quite accurate, though, isn't it?
Does anyone know if he went in for Peacock Farrell or not? Was that a?
I think that might have just been a lazy link. Anyway, let's talk about the signs we have made. So Cisco's decided we need a new right back. We've pretty much signed a second right back, which is coming soon. But we'll start with Delgado. Stevie, he's a Chilean international. He played. Did you say he played in Europe last season?
Yeah, I'd seen that he'd played. It was a year before last. He played against whoever it was that had been in the same team that Tottenham ended up playing. He played in the conference, Europa Conference against Tottenham a couple of times. So he's played European football. Obviously, he's played for Chile. So he's got some sort of stock about him. But is he's the thing is it's not one that's he's not a Darren Moore target, is he? So you can loop back to the.
It wasn't on that list either. What chance?
No, that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. You can loop back to the whole Chansiri transfer target. These are the players that we've targeted, and it's not the manager. It's my budget. It's my targets. It's my list. The list that we're looking at, the players that we're looking at, these aren't Chansiri lists. This is Chisco coming in and going, these are the players that I want, I need.
It's almost like if Chansiri didn't say a word this summer, it would have been a lot easier, wouldn't it? All this meltdown.
There's some things he shouldn't have said, isn't there? Yeah, definitely.
And all this uproar on the social media just wouldn't have been happening. Hollie, what do you think about having a Chilean right back? I bet you're on that moon, right? That's just what you wanted.
I have absolutely no idea about him whatsoever, which means that he can't disappoint me, at least. Can only be good. But everybody moans, don't they? That we need to get signings. Then we sign somebody. Then they're like, well, is it? Where's it
Every
from?
season.
We sign somebody from overseas and like, so we're signing overseas players then, though we don't know. And then you signed an English person, you go, a has-been then. An English person that's done nothing for the last 3 years. You can't win whatever you do.
Yeah, why are they getting rid of him? If he's good, why are they getting rid of him?
Yeah, exactly.
He's only been a right back for a year, hasn't he? He's the right midfield, right winger.
Right.
And I get pelters because of the Liam Palmer stuff. And
you like Liam Palmer? No way.
Have you not heard? But you put that to one side. We've got the lad that's coming in, and if he's coming in as a right back, and then you've got this lad that we've signed yesterday, Delgado, who's coming in. That's two right-sided midfielders. I've got it, or right-sided players. I've got it in my head that Delgado's coming in with a view to playing in front of whoever it is that's going to be playing right.
Is this wishful thinking, Stevie? Is this you to try? You know what I mean? Who's sat there going, he's going to play 4-4-2. Palmer's going to be either alongside Bannon or he's going to be playing right wing.
He's either playing centre forward on his shot conversions from that stat that was shared earlier on today, or he's playing centre midfield. Second coming of Jude Bellingham. He can do whatever he wants, that kid.
You're not Joe Bellingham.
Billy Bellingham.
Linda Bellingham.
So, John, do you have any other thoughts on Delgado? Just happy to have a signing here. He's going to be quick. He's going to be in attacking because that's what Chileans do.
Yeah, he's been recently capped for Chile as well. So if he's played at a top level, so you've got to say on that side of things, it looks like a positive signing. I think there's been a little bit of a switch as well in terms of like targets because they've lifted a few restrictions on overseas players, so you can now sign them a lot easier than you used to. Like with terms of visas and stuff like that.
Definitely the South Americans, which you've just signed.
Yeah. So it's opened up another door, so to speak, for to target players that you perhaps wouldn't have been able to before, especially when you're on a bit of a deadline with the season approaching and stuff like that. So. You can't fault where that he's played at a top level. He's got capped for Chile. Chile is a decent South American side. In a position of need as well. So it's be interesting to see how that one plays out. I just hope he's better than Patrick Blondeau because I'm just getting vibes.
So Dan, we've got Ashley Fletcher turned up yesterday in a very cheeky video. Did you see the video? Yep. Did you see the announcement video?
I've not seen the announcement video. I've been on holiday. I've been away. I don't know what day it is anymore.
Basically, the admin just basically put out a checklist for
match day. It was a match day.
A match day checklist, and it was like, I don't know, to get the balls, get the kits ready, make a signing, and then like he was there at the end of the video. It was just like sat there. It was quite cool, a bit different. I liked it. So
not up there with Burnley, but yeah.
Oh, not up there with Burnley and their Teletubbies.
I think Ashley.
Can you imagine being a footballer? Now on the Burnley stuff. Can you imagine being a footballer going, right, we've just signed you for £5 million. Could you just pretend you're on Teletubbies for 2 minutes?
I feel like they've got their videos ready in their head, and whoever they sign, they just go, "What is it this week, John? Oh, I think it's Teletubby one. Sick. You know what I mean? Get him in. I think. What we on? What's it? Fletcher, right? Fletcher's a statement of intent of what type of football we're going to play and what we're missing. That game that what we've seen in pre-season, we are a bit toothless up front. We've got two hard-working strikers in Smith and Gregory, but I think Fletcher's going to add an element of pace, or is he going to play behind him? And we might have plans for Windass to move out to one of the wings where I believe he prefers to play, and he's going to play that. What do you kids call it? Is it number 10 role that you call it nowadays? Cam, attacking midfielder, centre. That type of role. Is Fletcher going to play that? I don't know, because I'm the same as Hollie. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And if they turn up and they're great, cool beans. If they turn up and they're shite, well, we can all sit there and go, I told you so.
Well, it's a low risk. It's a low risk signing. He's on loan, so if he impresses, we can take him on a free in the next season. He said in his interview, but he's trying to earn a contract. and he's only operated pretty much in the Championship. He's a certified Championship striker. And we signed one, and then people just go mental. What were you about to say, Hollie?
I was going to say people have been moaning about it, but then all last season, everyone kept moaning that a squad were too slow. And if we even counter-attack anybody at any point? No.
We're going to have to do a lot this season.
Fletcher's going to bomb down the field and have to wait 25 minutes for everyone to catch up. I hope he can hold the ball.
I hope his hold-up skills are very good.
My only knowledge of Fletcher is when he played for Barnsley and he scored at Wembley, and I watched it with my grandma, and every time they played the replay of the goal, she kept going, "Oh, they've bloody scored again." She thought they scored about 10 times because they just kept playing the replay. "Oh, they've scored again. Hollie, look, they've scored." Or like, "Grandma, it's the same goal."
It's weird, Hollie. Your grandma has got the same accent as my nan. Like when I do impressions of her, like listen. Look, I'm gonna interject with a personal tale here. I'm just gonna break away from football 5 minutes, but I've realised that after a couple of days in Spain with Northerners and then a weekend away with Northerners, God, we do our own heading, right? And like, and I know I've been in the South a number of years, and you're going to judge me, but just bear with me, right? We love a protracted conversation across a room. We're very good at that. We love going, "Hey, are you having a beer?" "Yeah, I'll have a beer." "What are you having?" "Marjorie." "I'm not having a bloody Marjorie. It's too sweet. What's the matter?" We love that. We love that. And then, I hope I get a couple of laughs of recognition here. Do your family, especially the older members of your family, do you ever get any commentary on what you're doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you'll get up. "Where you going?" "I'm going to get a beer." "Dan's getting a beer." "You getting a beer, Dan?" "Yeah, I'm getting a beer." "What beer are you getting?" "Just getting one out of the fridge." "Where you going?" "I'm going for a wee." "What did you want to come do?" "Shake drips off for me." Like, "Oh, where you going? What are you doing? What's happening?" And you're like, "Oh, God, it's exhausting, isn't it? So I'm all northerned out, which is why I weren't going to do this show tonight.
I agree with that because I now like preempt it. I go, right, I'm going to toilet, and people go, I don't need to know that. It's like, I've just got so used to being asked where am I going when I stand up. I just tell people.
You've got to announce it.
I'm going for a shit. All right, see you in a bit.
Sorry, what are we talking about? Where were we?
Right, before we get onto the more controversial topics and more embarrassing Sheffield Wednesday topics, has anyone seen any rumours, any transfer rumours? What are going around?
Valentin, Paul Valentin.
Oh yeah, but that one's pretty much nailed on, isn't it?
I don't get the goalkeeper, the Watford goalkeeper. I don't get. He's played 45 games for Watford, and I'd seen a couple of bits when you're trolling through that they're looking at potentially offering him a new deal. So if they're offering him a new deal, the only thing that's come through is the fact that Chansiri's suddenly following him, or Chisco's following him, or somebody's following him, and then all of a sudden we're about to recruit a Championship goalkeeper at 45 games from last season. I don't hold any stock in that.
And already paying a Championship wages to a goalkeeper.
Yeah, we're paying Dawson whatever he's getting. Spoke about it earlier, and I don't know. I worry about the goalkeeping position. I've not got any major issue as other people do have with Dawson. He is what he is. And if people think that Dawson's the major issue in our squad at the moment, when we've scored 3 goals pre-season, we've got an average striking rate striking age of 34, 35 years old. We've got no legs, and the guy that we've signed has scored 3 goals in 7 years, and we're talking about our goalkeeper being a problem. Who's kept clean sheets, been player of the year, has gone up. Dawson is not the problem. I'm sorry, I'll say it now.
Steve, we needed a striker. We've signed one. We're now looking at a goalkeeper that has got promoted twice, right? But he's still not there at Championship level. We're all well and good talking about the promotions from the League One. He's also been in goal when we got relegated from the Championship. And let's not forget, he was at fault for 3 of the goals out of the 4 in the first leg. Like, we're a sentimental bunch as fans, because we're like, oh, he's come through our academy and he's great and he's wonderful. He ain't good enough, and he is a massive problem because it's your last line of defence.
Mate, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying if we're looking at a list of the shit show that is Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, I'd rather be finding somebody at 20 years old, 21, 22, who's going to go, right, I'm going to be something different from Gregory and Smith, who's going to go and excite a fan base, who's going to go and score 10, 15 goals at championship level. Because the utopia for us at the moment is, well, for me, let's get a striker in from Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, who's 18, 19, 20, who's going to go and do a bit, them across the road did McAtee, and I know he's a midfielder. We've got players that have come in who come and go and excite players at that excite things at that sort of standard. I don't think the goalkeeping situation, whilst it is something that we need to address, I'd rather a striker who's going to get me excited, who's going to get me out of my seat on a Saturday afternoon, who's going to score goals. The bigger issue is based on last night. If we're playing 4-1-4-1, it don't matter who's playing up front. I worry about that.
Somebody like Myton might be better in Championship. He were too lightweight for League One, but he might be all right coming.
Well, we didn't play the right formation for Myton, did we? He's not a winger.
Played him out of position.
Yeah. If somebody comes to me tomorrow and goes, right, you've got somebody who's going to come and replace Cameron Dawson, or generic goalkeeper who's been promoted out of League Two, promoted out of League One, record goals, record clean sheet keeping goalkeeper, I'm looking at it objectively and going, he's all right. Then I'm looking at 34, 35-year-old strikers who are getting this many goals, and people will lord over Smith. But how many penalties did Smith score last year? And, we're talking...
Scored a very important one.
Do you know what I mean? Give me a 22, 23-year-old lad or a teenager or somebody who's going to go, right, I'm going to explode onto the scene and I'm going to use Sheffield Wednesday as my platform next year and I'm going to score 20 goals. And even if people are making noises about him by January and going, fucking hell, this guy's done bits for Wednesday, let's get him in and let's sell him on for a decent fee in January, I'm all right with that, because that means that we're going to be consolidating in Championship.
So we want Josh Maggio. We want that link to be true. That's what we're saying out for Steve. That's what you're saying.
We want.
I don't know enough. Yeah, I'd take him. He excites me, but I don't know enough about the guy, to be fair.
I think with a goalkeeper one, it's kind of like, I don't feel like they'd be looking for a youngster from like a Premier League side, because I think they believe in Pierce Charles, don't they? But I think they're looking for someone who's genuinely going to be number one, and I think that's probably why it's taking a bit longer than we'd like. I mean, they'd be like with Axel Werner, weren't they, a couple of weeks back? Nothing seems to have come from that. Bikeman, obviously, we've already spoken about that, but I think they're probably looking at a genuine, guy who's probably like 20 over the age of 24, experienced keeper that's perhaps now a number two somewhere else, or has become a free agent or loan target rather than a youngster. So I think it'll happen, but I'm in Dan's camp. I don't think Dawson is good enough for the Championship. Not sure he'll want to be a backup again, because obviously that led to him partially the reason why he left for Exeter, isn't it? So yeah, we've got some work to do, haven't we, in the goalkeeper department? So I'm hoping something happens before Friday's week of Friday's game. For that, definitely.
Before we move on, then, quick whip round. I'll go around each of you. What position would you sign next if he was the manager? So John, who would you sign next? What's your big priority now if he was the manager?
Goalkeeper. Just to finish off what I was saying before. Yeah, Steve? I would look for the goalkeeper.
Young goal scorer, striker.
Dan?
With legs.
I want one of them, Yeah, it's a goalkeeper. It's definitely a goalkeeper. I was trying not to play the obvious answer. I wanted like an attacking midfielder. It's just going to sound like me with sour grapes of Cam Dawson again. But I feel like we just need to. Right, listen. If Cam Dawson comes on, if we get somebody in and he's not as good as Dawson, and Dawson makes him look an arsehole, great. You know what I mean? It's mutually beneficial, right? I'm absolutely fine with that.
Nothing personal.
No, and I feel like if we've got an opportunity to strengthen that position, that's what we need to do. Because Pierce Charles just he's up front and close up to him. He's got that same body frame as like Alex Hunt, and I know this is going to sound like that old English bullshit that players need to be a certain size. I'd much prefer a goalkeeper who's not 5'7", if I'm honest.
This is it. Whenever I've seen him, even on TV, I'm like, he's not 6 foot, is he? He's not 6 foot tall, even. He can't.
His hair is.
So,
He doesn't need to be. He's agile.
Well, I know we've had smaller keepers.
I've never seen him make a save. Has anyone seen him make a save? Has anyone seen him make a save?
There was a wonderful bit where they had a great chance against Mercia, and he did a great save. And do you know what? He was really gobby with the defence. He was, he was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was trying to marshal his defence, but some of the people who were defending were the kids he's grown up with around the around the thing. If he started trying to boss around somebody like Aidan Flint, who I appreciate, it's not there anymore, but like if Ed Flint would turn around and go, "The fuck are you talking to?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry, go on.
I think the trope there is that it's more of an us issue rather than a him issue, because I know we will sit here and go, he's not 6'1", but by all accounts he's the same size as Jordan Pickford, who's the England international goalkeeper. And you can say what you want, the guy's got we're comparing him to a goalkeeper who's 50 odd England caps. And ability aside, that's the bottom line. That's where we are with it. If we could say that we would have a goalkeeper of the caliber of Jordan Pickford playing for Sheffield Wednesday, we'd take it. We would, 100%. Let's get our heads out of his arses and stop saying he's too small, he's this, that, and the other. If he's good enough, he's good enough. Bottom line.
Who would you sign, Hollie? What position would Hollie sign?
I don't like Dawson, but I don't really want to agree with these guys. And everyone's put forward the argument in the other more in the know group chats that I'm in about if Dawson,
whoa
if
more
Dawson
in the know group.
If Dawson gets dropped, then his form dips when he comes back in. So whether it's worth getting someone in, if he has to then come back in, then he's shit for a bit. So I don't know.
Sorry. You've got other friends that talk about Sheffield Wednesday.
That know more
loads
about
and loads.
This is like when Ash tells us he's got something to do apart from the socials with this podcast.
I've been doing this.
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you know what? For that, get in the bit. Right, let's move on to. I personally would sign a midfielder, but that's just me. Right, Eyup. We'll start with Dan. Did you see that story, Dan, today? What came out about Eyup? Your favourite shirt sponsor. Right,
I'm going to try and sort of move sideways on what I feel about the branding and the name of a company on the front of a football shirt that perpetuates Northern stereotypes, given the week I've had with Northerners, right? But there is in it, right? Of course I am, Governor. So there's a weird thing here. So is it one disco? And it's not that Dave Richards; it's a different Dave Richards. One disco have had some financial irregularities. There's been this offshoot startup company that has paid best part of 365 grand to the club in order to get the name of the company on the shirt. Now, apparently the bill's been paid, but apparently the parent company of Eyup have gone, well, we didn't know you were doing that. Like it's a shock, like it's a surprise. But if the bill's been paid, as much as I hate the sponsor, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? I appreciate. I appreciate that there's an element of did we do our due diligence, and is it another example of the chairman involving himself into everything so people couldn't do it and all the rest of it? Maybe so. But Dave Richards is a Sheffield Wednesday fan, not that Dave Richards, and the bill's been paid. So all right, there's a cloud under it, and it piles onto the shit show that's been since Darren Moore's departure. Yeah. So I kind of this fucking sponsor's here to stay, and I'm very unhappy about it.
Stevie, what's your thoughts on it? Same as what Fudge is?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not going to, as long as it doesn't affect us financially.
Which it
I'm
can't.
not that bothered, and from what I can gather, it doesn't affect us. I'm not as offended by the logo and the stereotypes as certain other people are, and I've kept my mouth shut about that. I'm not saying I like it because it is quite garish, but it is what it is. And if that's 360, 380 grand that we can sort of account for without any sort of major issues, then so be it.
I just like the thought that somebody from Eyup looked down their accounts and went, "Eyup, what's this?
360 grand?
How much?"
That's what it is, isn't it? It's less of a, it's more of a you problem than it is an us problem.
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware. Until somebody tells me, and I'm not. Yeah, do you know what? I do look at the finances. I look at the sponsorship. I look at the money that's coming in. I'm not an expert. I don't know. And I think I put in the chat today, somebody needs to explain to me better than I know myself. Are we all right? Yeah. Is it going to affect us? No. Does it look messy?
It's such
yeah.
a non-story, really. It's such a non-story, isn't it? Like, and people
we're just piling on the negativity. We're piling on the negativity that is currently going on the hashtag.
Yeah, it's absolute. I mean, they've paid the money, so there we go. They've paid the money. They owe us another 360 grand at the end of the season.
At least they paid us, unlike Mamadov, didn't they?
Yeah. At least they paid us. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At least we got some money out of him. And like,
it's all right. We're having cake ball next season, won't we? That'll be all.
It's not the end of the world. Like Barnsley had a money laundering company on their shirt at the beginning of last season, and then they got a new sponsor halfway through the season. You know, there we go.
When he posted that link with Football Club did, had Pornhub as the sponsor. Do you remember? I don't know if it was you, Darren, put it on the chat. Yeah. Like, you know, the worst things, there's worse sponsors in life, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll tell you what, Pornhub has got some money. I wouldn't mind Pornhub as a bloody sponsor. You know what I mean? They could pay $500,000. and then I would definitely be sponsoring a football team.
Imagine Kit Lodge. Fucking hell.
Kieran Lee. Anyway, right. Hey, got it. Mate.
Why? Right, who's Kieran Lee, our ex-player?
Yeah, that one, definitely that one.
That one. Yeah. Right. So this is probably a bit out. This next topic is probably a bit outdated now, since the Chancery out mobs lasted 4 days. But if he were to sell the club, do you think we'd be in any different situation come 2 or 3 years down the line, Stevie?
So I don't get it. I don't understand. And somebody probably better educated than me with this could probably explain. But bear with me and go with this. People keep moaning, get Chancery out, get him out of our club, put the club up for sale, etc., etc., etc. Work on a scenario. If we sold the club tomorrow and we managed to get some kind of Saudi benefactor in or a Russian oligarch or whoever, they would still be operating under profit and sustainability restrictions, right?
Correct.
So if we were to sell the club and clear all the debt, whatever it is, we still have to be able to say we've got to operate where the sponsor, we can only have this much money for sponsorship. Mm-hmm. We can only, we've got to earn this much money through the turnstiles. We've got to declare this much money X, Y, Z. So these people that are moaning about getting Chancery out,
Hillsborough still costs more than and a lot of stadiums to run because it's just so old.
Yeah. So if we had a multi-billionaire oligarch, Saudi benefactor, whoever it may be that comes in, they could buy Chancery out for £2 billion, for example. They still can't put the money in beyond what Chancery can put in.
No, the
Or
only,
am I
the only,
being really naive and stupid?
No, that's you're dead right. So the price of the club will be determined elsewhere. The sponsorship will be determined elsewhere. How much Hillsborough's worth will be determined by somebody else elsewhere. That's what happened. I think you're right, because it's not like Chansiri's not got a few quid, right? He knows he's got money.
£720 million that guy's got.
Right, he's got money, right, but he just can't spend it. And I think that was his first shock when he first came into the club. The issue for me with Chansiri is his complete departure from where the club is in the UK and how much people have got, his pricing strategies, his and this is the biggest one for me, his constant desire to involve himself in every single decision the club makes. That is not delegating. That's not trusting the people around you. That's just being a pain in everybody's ass and stopping people grow, develop, learn from their mistakes. However, on the other side of it, it's your money they're fucking about with, right? So I do get it. Like, people are talking about this digitized system on the turnstiles. That's not us moving into the 20th century. That's a labor saving device, because you don't need a man stood there. You know what I mean? That's what that is. And it does make you wonder, if the Labour bill is that big, why didn't they do that years ago? You know, stuff like that, because he's not involved himself in that scenario.
I'm sure he said something about that years ago. So I think in one of the first fans forums he did, someone said that to him, like, why when are we going to get like automated turnstiles like Rotherham United? I think was the example given. Even Rotherham's got them, and I think he said something along the lines of, "I'd have to sack someone then." And everyone went, "Oh, he's a family man. He loves his staff." Do you know
and he's
everyone,
big fat done it anyway.
Yeah, and then he's done it anyway 7 years later. But that might be a Liam Dooley decision. We don't know, do we?
So look, what it is for me, I just wish he'd learn a little bit more when to take a step back and when to take a step forward. I said it online. A new chairman doesn't automatically, guarantee success. Look at Blackpool that was mentioned before. Look at the chairman that Forest had when they had that Greek fella in charge that had a picture of himself and Billy Davis and lifting the cup.
Oh yeah! Oh my
right.
God!
You know what I mean? Like, there are worse chairmen out there.
They're all narcissists. They're all narcissists.
Yeah.
They're all mega rich.
Sheffield United managed to find a skint chic. You know what I mean? So, like, one swallow don't make a summer, and the grass ain't always greener, and all that shit that you come back. I just want him. I need somebody to stand up to him and go, "You see, you're fucking this up by being you.
Yeah,
stop it, you fucking child." Yeah. That's what I need. That's what I need.
I mean, I don't know if you saw my argument.
Do you know when we do the bits where we talk offline and we say, right, we're going to do a little bit of a snapshot and we're going to do a little bit of a promo where we're going to have a talking head where we're just going to promote the podcast. What you've just said there, Dan, that 20-second grab there is exactly what people need to hear, because we're all on board. We're all the same. Chansiri gets a lot of negativity because of the things that he's doing, the way that he's acting. But what you just articulated it in a way that I think when people take emotions and put them to one side, that's what everybody thinks and feels. I think that's really important.
That's what any sensible person would think. I believe. Yeah. Sorry.
I agree.
And to be honest, it seemed like he was doing a bit of a backseat when Moore was in charge, didn't it? I don't know, whether it was more to do with his commitments in Thailand or what, but it did seem like he was taking more of a backseat when Moore was in charge. And the recruitment seemed a lot more structured towards certain players of certain leagues, etc.
But obviously, the argument there is that less chance area more, and people will laud the fact that Darren Moore was able to manage up, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Chisco will find his feet and be able to do the same thing. But I think Darren Moore is probably the person of everybody that's been involved with the club who has managed to manage Chansiri better than anybody else, because he's gone, right, you go, tuck yourself away over there. I'm going to get Jamie Smith. I'm going to get Paul Williams when he first came in. I'm going to get Simon, whatever his name is, Adriano Barso, and so forth. This is my group. This is what we're going to do. You're welcome to come in when it's time to come in, but we will tell you what's going on. I think Chisco's come in and is very much, these are the ideas that I've got and these are the things that I want to do. but he's operating on a whole different level at the minute. And I think time will tell, but I think Xisco deserves a lot of credit and respect for the fact that he's come in and gone, this is an absolute shit show. And, you know, the noises coming out the group at the minute are, this guy's galvanising the place as best he can, and he's operating with players that, let's be right, Kadam Artery, Jay Glover was terrible last night. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that publicly. He was awful last night. And there were a couple of, we've got other youth lads, and we'll talk about the youth players coming in and so forth. Darren Moore wouldn't have been operating on that, you know, based on where we were at the end of the last season. Xisco's picking that up, and he deserves every credit for being able to do so.
Another problem you get as well, you know, going back to potentially him selling is he spent over 150 million to leave us in a worse position than he found us. So he ain't going to sell us on the cheap, and nobody's going to pay what he wants.
That's a big point.
Yes,
I think
a little
he'll put
bit
off
of
a lot
leeway.
of potential people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of leeway with a new owner.
agree.
We sustain profit and sustainability. I mean, somebody like Kieran Maguire who's been a previous guest on the show. Obviously, he's a great person to talk to about that. But you know, like we said, he's got, you know, he spent all that money. He wants a certain amount for the club. That they're not going to pay that. There's the Hillsborough situation as well. Do you get the ground with the sale of the club? That's an issue as well. So I think unfortunately we're stuck with him for now. But like Dan said, what we need him to do is just stop being him at times and just be more.
I know, but the geezer pumps in
mindful.
millions and millions of pounds a year just to keep us going.
And do you know, on that, I don't think it's an unfortunate thing. I think the situation's unfortunate. I don't say unfortunately we've got Chansiri. The guy's going to keep chucking money at it. If he could throw £10 million at the club tomorrow, I think he would. I genuinely think he would.
I think he would.
And, you know, we can talk about season ticket prices. We can talk about shirt prices. We can talk about, you know, the 10-year season tickets, the timings. And we've all been victims of it. And we've all suffered because of it. But the bottom line is, he's gone, this is what I have to do to make this club sustainable. So I
think a lot of clubs are going to follow suit soon. I think a lot of clubs are going to be expensive.
They are. Listen, they will, and there will be other clubs before us that will fall. And when people 442 have put out the thing, that was it today or this week, where they've gone, we're going to finish 19th based on their projections. We'll finish 19th this year, and I'm a big fan of that. I always, as a young lad, you'd always look at where the 442 see your team's gonna finish. I think Vic's done it a couple of times, and Laura Lawrence has done it as well, hasn't she? They've done the talking heads, and they've done their little bits, and we will finish there, and blah blah blah. No doubt, if you look at it, they'll say Darren Moore's galvanised us, and we're on because he did it in June. But bottom line is, if we finish where we finish and we're in championship, that's great. But not being funny, we've gone through some absolute shit in the last 6 weeks, and if we can stabilise the club, Chansiri could do what he's doing, or what he's capable of doing, then it is what it is.
Right, we've done 52 minutes somehow. I've actually really enjoyed it. Let's wrap it up. Let's just talk about the passing of two legends at this club, really. At the probably most recent successful period since the 50s. Since the 50s, these guys are in the 90s. We love to talk about the 90s still, because we've had nothing else to talk about since the 90s. Hollie, when you got any memories of Chris Bart-Williams or Trevor Francis?
That's before my time, unfortunately.
I thought you might have just got a Chris Bart-Williams one, because my older sister, who's similar age to you, he was her favourite, as she said to me when she texted me the other day.
No, but does anybody remember at Brentford for the playoffs? He was in like the gantry thing, and people were singing Trevor, Trevor, shows your head. And then he came out at a right angle like this. And just stuck his head out at a right angle, and everybody went, way! And I started throwing inflatables at him. I don't know what that were about, but that's all I've got, I'm afraid.
It's better than I thought you would. It's better than I thought you were going to have. John, you must have a good story about Trevor Francis or Chris Bart-Williams.
Well, I mean, members of this panel will harp on about those times because we're of that age, and it was really a golden era to be a Wednesday fan. And unfortunately, you see, for the younger generation, they have to look it up on YouTube. But we were there, we lived it, and it was magical. It was brilliant. I mean, Big Ron built the side, but Trevor carried it on after Ron went and left to go to Villa, which we were all shocked about and angry about. But Trevor took over, being the senior player and looking to go into management, and we had some wonderful times and some unbelievable players, from international players like John Arks from America, and Swedish with Nielsen, who's arguably our best ever right back, and we were just awesome to watch. We'd go to Spurs, and when we're good at Everton, and when we're good at we were just fucking brilliant. Honestly, it was just a joy to watch, and Bartman was just the coolest dude of the lot. He was just this young kid, fearless, great touch, great dribbling ability. Like I say, I always remember him just not being able to play. I don't know if he was injured or suspended, but he was just sat on the bench. He wasn't even in gear, got like a leather jacket on, he got his headphones on, and he was just like, this guy's just the coolest cat in the building. He was just awesome. And Trev, obviously, when he came to us, he was back end of his career. I think he was 37, and we were still bringing him on. And we were turning games around, and we were winning them. It was just there were just two players from a golden era for the club, two huge losses for the club, and leave a lot of memories that will last for a lifetime for those that were there. And if you weren't there, there's still the videos on YouTube. There's some great behind-the-scenes documentaries you can watch as well. It was just a special time, and I'm really sad that they've gone. And thoughts with their friends and family, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Bart-Williams, we pinched him from Leyton Orient, so we were the big dog then, pinching young players from smaller teams.
We probably moaned about it.
Yeah, we moaned about it. Who's he? Who's he? People probably saying. Why aren't we signing Zico? Stevie, Chris Bart-Williams, you've got something to say about him, haven't
you? It's a hard one, and do you know what? I've said it privately on here, and I'm not going to get overly emotional or anything like that. But me and Dan sat, and I've got an overriding thing. My sister, who's been on the pod recently, asked me to share the lockdown live that we'd done, and my memory, my overriding memory of that is Dan getting the fucking timing wrong. So he'd been I think he'd been messaging Bart Williams's wife, and he'd not got the different time zones right. So we'd logged on at 6 and sat there like this for an hour. And he's pulling that face now that he was pulling at the time, and we ended up getting in touch with him, and we just literally got the time wrong. But the moment that we'd logged on, all the lockdown lives that we'd done, it was talk to screen, talk to camera. Where we are now, somebody sat and looking at us like this, and it was quite formal. He was sat on a mobile phone, and he was walking around his house, his apartment, whatever. He was in the back, gardens, palm trees, job lot. And the first thing he did when he logged on, we apologised. He laughed his head off camera, laughed his head off. These things happen, and literally it wasn't a long one, I don't think, was it, Dan? It was literally 45 minutes, and the guy just laughed all the way through it. He was so humble, such a nice guy. As a person, to be able to sit and have those experiences with that guy, based on the experiences you have sat in the stand with a guy who, for me, at my age, he was 3 years older than me, and as a kid of colour, and I don't bring colour into things like this, but your role models are what your role models are, and when you're finding your way growing up, 17-year-old black lad who's playing Premiership football and has got in there is a big deal. You know, my heroes growing up with John Barnes and Chris Bart-Williams, Carlton Palmer, Des Walker, and he was one. But he stuck out because he was so close to me in age, and he'd done something, and he'd done stuff that people hadn't done before. You didn't get that, and it was such an amazing thing to have somebody of that age and that sort of. He was so cool as well, you know. And to hear the news this week is just the Trevor Francis news, which we may or may not talk about, was a real shock that the guy had a life. Due respect, the guy had a life and he'd done what he'd done. But Chris Bart-Williams is 3 years older than me, and to hear what we heard this week out of nowhere is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, Carlton Cole was on Talksport, and he was saying like when he was at Charlton as a young player, Bart Williams was like by far the most popular person in the dressing room.
I've not heard anything different.
Yeah, every ex-pro is the same.
Yeah, Ian Taylor's tweet. I've retweeted something from Ian Taylor today. Carlton Palmer's message. Obviously, we talked to Carlton the other day. Kevin Campbell's done his bits and so forth. Everybody is saying the same thing, and the fact that Nottingham Forest, Forest were a middling club. All right, they're a big club. They were a middling club when he signed for them, and they're calling him a legend. He will be a Sheffield Wednesday legend. He is a Sheffield Wednesday legend.
So Dan, you get Trevor Francis, mate.
I'm not following either of that. I think everything's been said that needed to be said. Stevie, I'm glad you brought in what a role model he was as a person of colour, and being around the 80s and 90s, I appreciate you came across some things like that, and to have a role model such as that so close to home, it's amazing. And when Sheffield Wednesday signed a player who'd broken a record in being the first £1 million player as well, that was something special as well. I'm not going to add on. I'm not going to add on to what's already been said. But the whole thing's just really fucking sad.
Mm. Yeah. And do you know what? Sorry. No, can I just say, Blair, the one thing I would say, I think I was at the Eco Power last night, and there wasn't a big crowd, and take away everything else, performance, everything else, result, situation, so forth. We knew what was coming because it had been announced that there was going to be a minute's applause. And the one thing I would say is that the announcer wasn't. It was very difficult to hear in the stands, but he made his point, and the point he was going to make was, we're going to do a minute's applause. And the fact that the teams got around the centre circle before he even said that we're going to do a minute's applause, they started applauding, and it was a big thing. And the referee didn't know what to do last night, and we must have clapped our hands for 2 minutes yesterday instead of one. I'd just like to say, or like to think that when it comes to the first game at Southampton at Hillsborough, that we have an opportunity to pay our due respects, and it's not just a one-off thing at the Keepmoat, the Eco Power, or whatever in the pre-season friendly, and we get to pay these two guys an absolute bit of respect because of everything that they meant to the club and everything that they did. And it'd be really disappointing if we didn't get an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, the 2 games against Forest as well. If we could make a big deal about these two wonderful legends of both clubs, it'd be something special, wouldn't it? So hopefully they'll be looking at that down the line.
Any other business? Any other business before we go? I think that's it, isn't it? It's a somber moment.
This podcast is proud to be part of the Talksport Fan Network. Talksport. Powered by fans.